So I just wanted to tell you something. I really like you. A lot, actually. Yeah, I really like you too. You're like a sister to me. Pause. I'm sure I'm not the first, nor will I be the last person to go through this, but yeah, this wasn't one of my best moments. So let's jump into the crazy story of how I confessed my feelings to a guy, only to get friend-zoned. But before we get into the story, let's do our quick, hey, what you draw on part of the video. The art you're watching me draw in the background is actually artwork for my webcomic Outcasts. I've been itching to do more Outcast art that wasn't just webcomic pages, so I came up with this composition and I think it was pretty good. And without further ado, let's get into the story. Before I start, I just want to say this. Do not go hating on this guy. He's genuinely one of the sweetest guys I've ever met, then and now. And he just so happens to be the first friend I made when I transferred schools. So if you hadn't watched my previous videos, I'm still calling this guy Evan. He was the only person who really talked to me when I switched to a private school in the 5th grade. We immediately hit it off when we started talking on the playground one day. I learned he was a lot like me. He was introverted, had interests like drawing, art, and TV shows, and he was super understanding and nice to me. So, of course, I developed feelings for him. But I didn't say anything until the day it all backfired and blew up in my face. Cut to my senior year of high school. Evan and I were still best friends and had even gone closer. He was even sweet enough to take me to our senior homecoming dance, as friends of course, but I still count that as a win. Something that my school did for high school students was this thing called a high school retreat. I'll probably make a whole other video about this, but the basic rundown was this. The high school seniors would lead this retreat for the other high schoolers, and the seniors, me being one of them, would go to the site a few days earlier to set up everything for the younger grades. And that's when trouble arose. So I was in the cabin talking to the other girls in my grade, and we ended up playing Truth or Dare. My turn came, I picked Truth. I mean, come on, I didn't trust them enough to pick Dare. And they asked me if I still had feelings for Evan. I swear, my face turned so red I didn't need to answer. Now, these girls were my so-called quote-unquote friends. But something I learned much later, too late honestly, was that they weren't really my friends. They were actually faking it. And since they loved drama so much, they all peer-pressured me into texting Evan to talk with him. I originally said no, but after a few minutes of them quote-unquote convincing me, I gave in and texted Evan that I needed to talk to him. That, I think, was my biggest regret. Not that I initiated it, no, but that these girls manipulated me into it. I honestly didn't think he'd text me back soon, but about a minute later, he texted me to meet him outside. When I met Evan outside the building, we sat together on a short flat platform. There was no one else around, just me and him. We talked for a moment, and I told Evan, I really like you. Keep in mind, this conversation happened right after we'd gone to homecoming together, and it was obvious there was something between us. The silence that followed was long enough to age me 10 years. And then he told me, you're my best friend. You're like my sister. So, some context. Have you ever heard of an ugly crier? Well, I'm what I like to call an ugly not crier. When I'm trying to hold back my tears and not cry, it is so painfully obvious and honestly hard to watch. So poor Evan is just looking at me like, you okay? Yeah, I'm all good here. Meanwhile, my brain is going, abort mission, this isn't what we practiced in the mirror 7 times for. But afterwards, and after crying with my friends for about an hour and a half, I was fine, and I was honestly better for it. I'm just glad Evan was honest with me rather than stringing me along when there was no spark. And for those of you wondering, are you still friends? I can tell you that while we're not as close as we used to be, we still talk sometimes, and I still consider Evan a close friend. Oh, and to those girls who pushed me into this, here's some advice. If you want some drama, go watch some Gossip Girl, because I'm done being your entertainment. And that's a wrap for this video. A special thank you to my Patreon members, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for supporting me in the making of my webcomic Outcast and my artistic journey. Also, just a reminder, if you want to see more art like this, or you want to learn more about my webcomic Outcasts, you can check it out on Tapas and come join my Patreon for exclusive content. If you enjoyed this story time and want to see more animations about my chaotic life, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video. I've got plenty more stories where this one came from, believe me. Keep creating, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!